Hey, baby.
Let her sit.
You want to sit?
With the pillow, maybe.
You're back, you silly goose.
Hi, my name's Chris, and I'm an addict alcoholic.
Hi, Chris. Hi, I'm Kim, and I'm married to an addict alcoholic.
Hi, Kim.
Hi.
When did we record last? It's been a little bit.
It's been a little bit. Just the two of us?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a grip. Before we moved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you liking the new office?
I like it. It's a nice office. I like the color a lot. I like that you're upstairs, so I have easy access to, if I need something, you're right there.
Yeah, I like having the dogs in here. If you
Yeah.
guys aren't watching the episodes, you're missing out on these beautiful dogs.
Yeah. They've got to talk about their addictions today.
You know, animals do help people. Like, I've noticed that people, when they feel isolated, finding like rescue animals, finding anything that can give you motivation, whether it's painting, music, whatever. Like, sometimes it's just as simple as a connection with an animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're their person.
Yeah.
And that's something you need to show up for. And that can be a good motivator, I think.
I think so too.
They don't judge you.
They don't.
They don't care if you haven't showered.
I wonder if there's any studies with animals and people in recovery, if they've like.
When I was at Hazelden, they had 3 support dogs.
Oh.
So they were like giant versions of my mom's dog.
Okay.
Of Charlie.
Yeah. So poodles.
Yeah, golden
Doodles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So they were a little thicker.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it just allows you to. I think there's room for a lot of vulnerability that people don't really talk about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You change your voice, you change kind of your mannerisms. Like watching full-grown men on their hands and knees playing with dogs. You know what I mean? Like it changes, I think, your state of mind, and this can be a pretty positive thing. So I'm pretty thankful for our doggies.
I am too.
We didn't get to say what we were thankful for
For
last
Thanksgiving?
episode. Yeah, I've put it in my calendar now so that the holiday stuff, like, we record a week beforehand most of these episodes, except for the Not So Anonymous. Those ones are kind of like a day before
Sometimes,
or a couple of days before.
because our schedules and whatever else.
But I want to be able to start matching up so that when holidays happen, we're saying the things, whatever. But,
well, I mean, at Christmas, at Thanksgiving, I did say I was thankful for, like, I know as much as 2020 has sucked for a lot of people, but this year also gave us back you and your sobriety.
Yeah.
So, I mean, 2020 hasn't been easy, but there have definitely been some good things about it.
Yeah. And you're talking about like when we were at Mom and Dad's?
Yeah.
Yeah. I said that I was thankful. I'm thankful and like just crazy lucky that I have the support system that I do. Like, I mean, we've said it on here before, but I couldn't be luckier to have the people that I do in my life. So I'm privileged to have been born in the situation that I was born into. You know what I mean? Like, if it was a different time, maybe my parents wouldn't have been as understanding about mental health stuff, or have even had the proper viewpoint on addiction.
Gosh, yeah, you got lucky with the parents that you have, for sure.
Yeah. Unbelievably lucky.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's thousands of people who are far less fortunate.
There are thousands of people that don't have a single person. So that's why they keep using, because they don't really have any drive.
Yeah. And I mean, the statistics for recovery, like without relapse, is only 5%. And that number changes all the time because they're like, it goes up and down, it ebb and flows. But man, it's fucking gnarly. It's weird. I was thinking today about, like, I have passive thoughts. Like when I have a shit day at work, I'll have passive thoughts of like what I would do, or like the fact that you worked over the weekend, you worked all those days. When I was in my addiction, like I was like, perfect. I'm going to have 4 straight days of being able to drink and then fall asleep before, she's any wiser as to what's going on. You know what I mean?
Okay. I knew what was going on, but.
Not always.
All right. Well. Anyway, I think this week is one I learned a lot about.
Shit. Sorry. What I was trying to say with that point, passive thoughts, learning that they don't have to have like an emotional value. Like a lot of times people have thoughts that enter their mind and they're like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Does that mean that I am still this thing, that I am inevitably going to act on this, yada, yada, yada? Like people do a lot of that, like, it's the universe telling me this, that type of bullshit.
Yeah.
Like if you are an addict, take that part of it out. Mm-hmm. There are objective truths as to why you can't get rid of your addiction.
Yeah. And
I think like with passive thoughts, like I've learned to go, there's all kinds of wild shit that enters my mind that I don't give weight to any of those things. Mm-hmm. Why would I give weight to this thing?
Yeah.
So it's just interesting to like finally have that. So I was thinking on the ride home about how like people with bipolar or like manic tendencies and I know I'm not doing a good job of like categorizing that, but people who experience like manic stuff are very susceptible to those types of things, like what does this mean? Like, oh man, if I would have been at that stoplight a second sooner, I would have got hit by that truck. Like that type of shit, to where it has to have this like astrology, is that what?
Okay.
Astrological?
No, astronomical.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Astronomical meaning. Well, astronomical is like, oh yeah, no, yeah, that works. You're right. But we're like really susceptible to that stuff. Like thinking that it must mean that I'm meant to do this other thing, when really like just taking that breath and being like, whew, and maybe I'm lucky in like the kind of nihilistic view that I have, that life is meaningless. So you have to give it real meaning. Can't let these outward things decide your destiny.
Yeah.
Which even that sounds stupid. Just, you can't let passive thoughts manage your purpose. You have to manage your purpose and what you mean to other people and to yourself. Sorry, am I boring you?
No. One thing I learned in the past couple weeks, is because someone has a history of addiction, if they're not doing well, don't assume it's their addiction.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Man, that happens so much.
It does. And it's easy to brush something off as like they must be using again, or they must be coming off of something, when they could really be medically ill. And that's like a really scary part, is to not assume that they're using.
Well, people also do a lot of assuming in like, how we're going to a football game. You gonna be okay? I know there's gonna be stuff there, and like these minor things where people assume that that's gonna be your trigger.
Yeah.
Like this whole walking on eggshells thing goes back to, how am I going to be let down this time?
Yeah.
When you have that in the back of your mind, how are they going to let me down the next time? what's the
Yeah.
what's the circumstance going to be? Because you had like a really intense thing happen.
Well, yeah.
Did we talk about that with the whole car thing?
The person almost running me over. And then we haven't talked about the other stuff. So hadn't talked to this person for a week and a half. I think that's where we got to on the episode with Joe. And then I was like, I haven't talked to them. I'm really nervous. I finally heard from them. They told me they totaled their vehicle and wrapped it around a sign. Didn't tell anybody. I mean, besides the person they live with. So we were all very confused and none of the stories were making sense. And that's where I got into this assumption where it's like, okay, are they using again? They keep telling me they're not. They also haven't been completely honest, but I feel like we kind of went over this hump of that honesty where this person was very honest about things. And then, Sunday, I finally got a hold of them again and their phone hasn't really been working. And they were like,
bring that down a little bit. And then
it sounds fine.
I know. But because these mics are so good, like I have to look at the thing to make sure that it's
anyway. Sunday, they didn't sound very ill, like wheezing, like it's called a stridor. It's like at the end of a breath where it's like that squeaking.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. And I was like, you don't sound good. Kind of still confused, but kind of tracking conversation, saying that they were coughing up like black stuff and all that. And I left work and brought them to the ER. I'm like,
that still throws me off. Did they explain the black stuff?
So with coughing, because of COVID, your lungs get inflamed. It's like dry blood, but it's not like blood clots in that person's lungs.
God, that's so scary.
It is so scary. But anyway, I left work because the person that they live with assumes it's addiction too, as well as I did. And I finally opened up to another family member and told them what was going on, just because I'm like, I needed more support at that point.
That is such a good thing to point out. Because I think historically in your family, there was a lot of like, no one else is going to do this. You gotta do it yourself. You gotta pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Getting raised like that, like you're gonna have to figure this out on your own, kind of a thing. And at that point, I'm like, I can't do this on my own. And
that's
I knew
a great, but I want to like highlight that in the sense that like when it comes to dealing with addiction, you can be in over your head at the turn of a hat, like at the drop of a dime. Like it can with people who are addicts, like if you're not a professional, even professionals get fucking blindsided. Yeah. So having your own support system, you don't have to be the sole support system for the addict in your life.
Yeah.
Like have your own support system as well. That's a really good point.
So then, I reached out to another family member just saying, I'm sorry. This is how I start. I'm like, I'm sorry. Because I felt like crap because I'm like, all these things that happened that I hadn't told this other person about. Because in 24 hours, I heard that this person totaled a vehicle. I'm trying to piece it together. Usually accidents are posted online. I looked everywhere, couldn't find anything. I'm like, is this a delusion? Like, is this person under the influence and it's not a real story? Because the person that they live with never told us this happened. Which I feel like I was 50-50 on whether they would or not. Anyway, went, picked them up, brought them to the emergency room. I obviously could not be present because you can't have visitors. But I made it very clear, like, this person is not in the right state of mind. I don't know what's going on, but they're, like, very sick. And we made it very clear that this person had gotten in a car accident and like it's been weeks since they're like cognitively not quite there. So I went to my other family member's house and just like we tried to like process through things together, which was kind of nice. Like we were like, okay, let's try and figure things out. Then we found out like exactly when the car accident was and when they tried to, or like almost ran me over with the vehicle. And we were like trying to piece together how long this was going on. And trying to figure out how did they get in a car accident and total their vehicle, but people were not involved. Well, there was some like backward way of doing things because of the person that they live with, the field that they worked in. So it was like I'm not going to explain it on the podcast because it's hard to explain, but law officers apparently just called other law officers because they knew that this one person worked for the county.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah. So, and then, yeah, they did they did chest x-ray and they saw a lot of really dark spots. So they thought maybe this person had blood clots, which was pretty scary to hear. And then they did like a CT of the chest and found, but it says essentially COVID looks a certain way in your lungs. And
It's
then
not cancer?
no, I don't. But anyway, then they did the COVID test, which came back today, and positive. It was positive. So, look, she's smiling.
Is she asleep?
Yeah.
Sorry, we're looking
Sorry.
at our dog that
Anyway,
fell asleep. Again, YouTube, Duck Duck Grey Duke, and you can see these beautiful dogs.
One thing though, too, with the whole thing is like, there's something called brain fog with COVID.
Yeah, explain that again.
So it's like essentially it's like memory loss. It's like all these cognitive deficits with COVID. And I actually talked with the doctor because I'd said someone needs to call me because there's like a history of other things that I don't know if this person will be honest about. And I wanted to be very clear because if this person had been going through alcohol withdrawals, granted, it would have been weeks of the same confusion and all that. And there was a lot of medical complaints, but anyway, the doctor did call. I did talk to the nurse, and then the doctor called me, and I was very honest with the doctor about like history of alcohol and all that, and telling that this person has been saying that they've been sober for a period of time, which they continue to say that they've been sober. So but then yeah, it ended up being COVID, and he said that he's been seeing more brain fog with COVID people, patients. And he had one the day before that had this brain fog. So I've been reading up a lot on it, and I shouldn't because it's scary, like the deficits that these people have with this brain fog and how long it can take to like come back from it.
Shit.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you can close it.
Yesterday they sounded way better. Today not so great. So we're just kind of doing a play it by ear and hoping. And I got sad today because I was listening back to old voice messages just to hear what they normally sound like. And it was just like listening to their normal voice and then hearing how they are now is like, it's just crazy. And it makes you hope that what are you doing?
Keep going.
Just like hoping that they come back around from it. But one thing, it's just, yeah, it's easy to assume it's an addiction, but don't always assume that's what it is because it could be something scarier, something more medical. And I avoided it for weeks because I thought it was addiction. I didn't want to deal with it. And I felt so shitty. I'm like, I'm not going to deal with this anymore. I'm like, I already, like with everything that happened at the beginning of this year, I'm like, I'm already exhausted. It was a lot of work going through all that. I don't want to deal with this right now. And that's so shitty because I'm that person's main support system who's more understanding. And so,
yeah.
But anyway, where we're at, and COVID's awful. And I'm like angrier now about COVID. I'm like angrier now at people that are not taking it seriously. Like someone I know that's in their 50s is basically has Alzheimer's right now and can't remember anything and can't breathe. And they're the person that was there working in nursing homes, taking care of your grandparents while you're out complaining about wearing masks. And now they're at home super sick. That's what pisses me off.
Yeah.
And is this person likely to live? I mean, statistically, yeah, but you can't say that, especially when there's 30-some-year-olds with no medical history dying from it. That's what pisses me off. So that's my TED Talk.
That's your TED Talk?
I don't know if we can say TED Talk. Is that like a copyright thing?
We can call it Tit Talk.
That's my Tit Talk.
But now that sounds like TikTok.
Yeah, shoot. That's my Kim Talk.
Oh, there you go.
So
K-Talk.
That's my K-Talk for the day. Let's take this seriously. I was around that person. I kind of had a somewhat kind of feeling it could be that. I wore a mask the entire time. I hand sanitized. I wasn't with them for like a extended period of time, but I got to watch myself.
Yeah.
Every little tickle in my throat.
Oh, don't even say that.
I've been so nervous, but
It's like when someone says lice. Like I get itchy.
bed bugs,
Ugh,
scabies,
scabbies.
scabies. Yeah. So anyway, even if it was that person's past addiction, if they would have gotten in a car accident, like there's still steps that need to be taken.
Yeah.
So
Let me bring it back to sorry, I'm gonna that looks stupid. Let me bring it back to yours looks fine. I don't know, mine's whatever. Sorry. And take 2. I want to bring it back to kind of the history that you have, like historically speaking, almost every relationship that you've had, and I don't mean just romantically, like friendships, you have taken the caretaker role for nearly every relationship that you've ever been involved in.
mm-hmm.
And I see you get in this mode of like, it's like when I say don't touch the dishes. I'm going to do it later. Just leave it. You can leave it. You get this look on your face like, he's not going to do the dishes. I'm going to do it right now because I don't want to have to deal with it later. Like your brain does this thing where you're like, oh, they're going to do this, so I better get ready to do that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, with this person,
why
even
do
though
you think that you so easily, like, on Tiger Belly, or not? Yeah. So Whitney Cummings was on Tiger Belly recently, and she said this thing that like has stuck with me, which is you're emotionally cutting, which cutting in the like mental health world is people who are severely depressed will cut themselves, like whether it's like a self-inflicted punishment or they just want to feel something, they will cut. But she had brought up like emotional cutting, like inserting yourself into these situations even though you know it hurts. Like it's that kind of, it's like listening to a sad song when you're already sad.
yeah,
You do this like emotional cutting thing. And I'm curious as to like,
I don't know. I think I grew up when I was young. I had to help people in situations, so it was already like put into my brain, like, okay, things are going to happen. You're going to have to be the person that solves the issues or that support person.
I think watching your mom do all of these really hard things too, though, and then it like gave her a pass to complain about it forever and ever and ever. Like when you were in these really low moments, she would, for some reason, drudge it up and say, remember when I had to do this for you? And like, I want, not to the extent of what she, obviously she's better now, but like the extent that it was prior, like early on in our marriage and when we were dating, like I saw you submit yourself to that stuff, and I kind of see you doing it again, like just being submitted to this shit. And like when you bring things to me and want me to get angry with you, I think another reason why I try to look at it from all sides is because I don't want you to, because it builds and eventually you break down and you say like, this is happening, and like I'm taking care of all of it. I wish that you didn't feel so compelled to have to do certain things, because I see how much it hurts you later on.
Yeah. I think with certain people though, like I am also that person on that other side that sees all sides, that I don't assume it's this thing. And even if it was addiction, like I was still willing to get help, like that person help, where I feel like other people kind of closed off from it. I don't know.
I'm talking more to situational stuff
Like all
Like-
everyday things? Like, what do you mean?
with relationships that you've had. So you think about like all of the times that you like picked up a friend that was drunk or like tried to tell them not to get in
I feel
a
like
relationship or
Because it's loyalty.
but then it eats at you like big time.
You're not one to talk. You do that too. Like that one person in your life that you drop everything for to go try and save as well.
Yeah, historically for sure. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Like if
that's
that
my
person called right now.
codependency.
Okay. Mine is like I feel I've developed these relationships and these friendships and these things where if I feel like I can help in that moment, it might be like the nurse inside me where I feel like if I can do something in this moment, I'm going to do it.
Ooh, you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense because when you talk to me, I would imagine it's like when nurses talk at the like the nursing station, like that main. It's usually like in an ER. There's like a counter that's like in the
teaming
middle
a
of it.
patient.
Like when you guys see somebody come in again for the thing that you've seen them come in for time and time again, being like, well, we're gonna have to do IV, we're gonna have to do this and this and this, and like that camaraderie of like being like, yep, this is what we do, this is what we're here for.
Yeah.
That actually makes a lot of sense because you're Nurse Jackie without the addiction.
My
If you
addiction
haven't
is
seen Nurse
helping people.
Jackie, if you haven't seen Nurse Jackie, it's so fucking good.
Such a good show.
We should watch it again because that actually like I wonder what it would look like now.
In the sober
It's
side. after
ironic.
being
Like
yeah,
I would drink and watch that show.
that's true. Yeah. But she was worse because she had a pill addiction. She was using it at work. And it was affecting her job. See? It's interesting now looking at it all sides. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's the nurse in me. I don't know. If something's going on and I feel like I need to do something. If I know I can do something, I need to do something. Like I knew I was at my job, but I also knew that person wasn't going to get help from anyone else except me because of the comfort that they feel in me. And there was a moment where the ER kicked them out and they were standing outside in the cold. And they got
Oh, you're talking about the most recent thing.
yeah. And they were standing the person I was with, their car was warmed up. So they're like, let's just put them in the back of my car while your car warms up. And then they were just sitting in the back crying like, and I felt like I had this moment where I felt like that was my child and I needed to go back there and just hold them. And it was like, it killed me. I was like, oh my gosh, like I have taken this role of, I feel like, and there was another thing with this whole event where I was super duper duper sick and I didn't have health insurance. And you probably remember this. Like I had a fever of 104. I was hallucinating and you were trying to get me to go to the hospital. And I was like, hell no, I'm not going. I don't have health insurance. And they came to where we were living and got me in the car and said, I don't care. You need to go.
When we were at my parents' house, you're saying, right? Yep.
And said, I don't care. You're sick. And thankfully I went in and had a really bad kidney infection.
Yeah.
And I played that in my head the whole drive to their house. Like, it's like roles were reversed where I was like, and they had that same thing. It's not that they don't have health insurance, but I can't pay for medical bills. And I just said, I'm not paying for a funeral. So we need to get help.
Yeah.
Like you're very sick. And I think they're afraid. I think the big thing at the end of the day is they're afraid. And it was so heart-wrenching when we walked in and did the triage thing and they made me leave. And they looked at me and they were like, but I got in a car accident. Like they were trying to justify why I should stay with, like she was.
Oh, yeah.
And the look in their eyes, they were so scared. And I had this moment where I'm like,
If it makes the storytelling easier, I can just beep out
no, it's fine.
that. Well, because it kind of sounds,
Oh,
you know what I mean?
yeah. So she had this look in her eyes of like just being terrified. And I had this moment where I'm like, this might be the last time I see them alive. Like if they have to be, if she has to be intubated and she doesn't come back off, this is the last.
Are they still intubating people?
I mean, if they can't breathe, I mean, if, you know, certain events, you have to intubate people, you know?
Ugh.
And so that was like a very terrifying moment. We're leaving that ER and not knowing when I was going to talk to that person again. Because I did not know what was going to happen once they walked into. And then I like felt this just crushing feeling of, I can't, like these family members that are legitimately in ICUs intubated and these other family members can't be with them. Then I got pissed off again and angry at all these people in the gas stations not wearing masks. And I like went somewhere. Gosh, where did I go? I had to get
Becker.
something. Yeah, Becker. I went to Walmart to get things, some like groceries and stuff with Layla and more like sanitizing spray and all that. And all these people not wearing masks. I just wanted to walk up to them and be like, I just watched a family member of mine go through hell because of this. And they're so sick. And you could put something over your face and you choose not to. And I'm like, that's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they're not wearing a mask. They might legitimately have some type of trauma or whatever else. I can't be the judge of that.
It's you. Come on. We can.
Yeah.
I'm fine with stereotyping Walmart.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
I
Like
know.
I work with people who, even though we have to wear masks and we have protocols, I still hear them say, you know, this is making people depressed. It's like that. A virus doesn't give a shit about your feelings.
No.
It's gonna fucking attack you.
And it's like,
no matter how good or bad you feel.
and I hear that all the time. Like, my child's mental health's declining because they can't play their sport. It's like, but at least their parents are alive and their grandparents. Like, how depressed do you think they'd be if they lost one of their grandparents right now?
Yeah, man.
Like, is going and kicking a ball or whatever else gonna make them happy for the time being? But if their grandma dies, they're gonna be sad about that for years.
Yeah, they'll be alive to tell their kids about how shitty it was and how grateful they're going to be able to see their kids play
Yeah.
a sport like 10 years from now. It's going to be fucking amazing.
Yeah. So just heated about that lately.
I
I think
know.
it's because it's a personal thing now. Like, I was kind of distant. I don't work in COVID, like with COVID patients. So I don't see all that. So I'm kind of an outsider of it. So
Yeah.
all those people that work in it, mad props. I say it all the time. Like, people will be like, where do you work? I'll say, I'm a nurse at the hospital. And they're like, oh, and I immediately go, no. Like, I work in mental health. I don't have to work with COVID. Like, they're the saints right now, those people working in COVID.
Yeah.
So
Well, there's,
Anyway,
there's
the moral to
volunteers
the story.
working at those fucking like drive-up stations and stuff too.
Yeah.
It's fucking wild.
yeah. Bless everyone's souls. And
I
it's,
just listened to a guy who does a podcast say that he's gotten 30 COVID tests.
and me
When's the
and
last time you got tested?
just that one time that I had that really bad kidney infection, I had that 102 fever.
For COVID?
Mm-hmm.
When? What?
Yeah.
Why can't I remember that?
It was like right after you were sickish.
Oh, yeah. Yep. You're
But
right.
no, professional athletes get tested every day.
Yeah. But I mean, that's got to be stressful as fuck. Like, how do you focus on your work and you're constantly getting tested too? It's like, shit, man.
But
It
yeah, they
reminds
need to
me
do
of when-
something though to stop the spread. Like, why are we having professionals? Like, my father, his life is professional sports of some sort. And he even says, why are we having professional sports right now? Like, there are people dying. Like, we're running lower on tests again.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, the scary thing is there are thousands of people that are employed by the NFL, by the NHL. Like, there are thousands of people who, so like, people can say like it's to, you know, why this, why that. To some degree, there are people that are like, being unemployed is fucking
then I'm
terrifying.
gonna bitch
right
about
now.
this. They make millions of fucking dollars, and then there's people in healthcare. We got our fucking bonuses cut, our raises cut, our retirements stopped. They were matching us, and they're the ones working with these people that are dying while these people are still making millions of dollars.
They're not though. They're not now. They're not. Like
Well-
there are NFL players that are doing other work now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Alex was just telling me Steve-O got laid off. That
I
radio
told
DJ.
you that.
You told me that too?
Yeah. Yeah, iHeartMedia laid off. They had a couple layoffs this year and he went.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah. And he was on the radio for a long time.
Yeah.
And that show is, I feel bad for,
We should reach out to him.
I do feel bad for Fallon and Dave though, because it was.
They got laid off?
No, but like there was always the trio.
Oh,
And so it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and they all have different personalities, and now it's like,
Yeah, that's gotta
you
fucking
get rid
suck.
of that, and he had such a different person. I mean, they all have different personalities, so then you get rid
Yeah.
of him. I mean, and I feel bad because a lot of people are like, I refuse to listen to the show now. It's like, yeah, but there's still two people that are employed that, you know, and you don't think they were bummed out?
Yeah.
I mean, that, yeah, so it's tough.
But that's the thing is like people are frantic to say like, how can we at least try to help
I did
people make a
listen
living?
to Biden's thing today where he talked about his economic team. Fucking ballin'. He actually like didn't hire his family members, didn't hire his friends, legit people that like economists, like he lists their credentials, and it's all these like amazing people, women, so many women too in these roles to try and bring our economy back. You know, and he talks so much about the working class and not in this, I mean, it's not like the rich still need to make money,
Yeah.
but like the people that have really been hit is the working class. And so like
Yeah.
listening to them all talk, it was,
Well, the working class are employed by these rich
yeah,
people.
yeah. So, but listening to, gosh, it was just like, and I'm not a fan of Trump, and people probably already know that. And it was just so hard to listen to him just because the way he talked was so aggressive and angry, and always it felt like it was attacking someone. Where,
Well, when you're constantly on the defense.
yeah, where Biden was just like, listening to him talk just gives me this sense of hope again that I
Yeah.
haven't felt for a while. And just like, it's just easy to put on the background. Like I was cleaning and I just put it in the background, was listening, and I was like, okay, all right.
Well, somebody said it's going to be nice to have a boring president again.
Yeah.
Like, I really didn't know much about what Obama was doing,
Yeah.
but I'm constantly bombarded with what the fuck Trump is doing.
Which right now is nothing.
Yeah, which is golfing more than any president ever historically.
Yeah.
And they used to give Obama shit for golfing.
Yeah. And right now, like with COVID, COVID's getting so much worse. The economy is tanking. And whereas he's still fighting to say, but I won. It's like, okay, at this point you didn't, but you're still our president. You still need to be doing some things. Like we're still tanking.
Yeah.
But
Ooh, almost.
yeah, so.
Yeah. In 5 days, I will have hit 300 days. I'm at 295 right now. You're trying to figure out yours?
Oh, no. Okay. Wow. I always forget I'm at 319.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring that up is because we are finding out. So this is not, what I'm about to say is not to brag about what we're doing, because all we've done. So there are people that are sober now because we started this podcast. There are people who have dialed way back on their drinking because of this podcast. And it's not like we didn't save anybody, but what we did was get them to it's empowering themselves.
Yeah.
Like all we did was say, hey, to whatever degree you enjoyed Kim and I, we realized that alcohol was like destroying our family. And because we used to really like put it on a pedestal, like us as a family, you know, or like you and I as a couple, like getting other people to drink.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like having parties where people can come and drink and
Yeah.
saying that they can stay the night. Like we would talk about how great beer was, how great this new brewery is, how this
You know
brewery
what's
is.
even greater than beer?
What's that?
Diet Coke. Actually, I've been drinking a lot of water because if I get
Yeah, I
COVID,
was
I
gonna
do
say.
not want a blood clot. So I've been chugging water.
I chug, if I'm not chugging Monsters, which are terrible for me, I'm chugging fucking squeezy juice water.
Squeezy juice water is the
Shout out
best.
to Target and Walmart.
Yeah, I just got the
Squeezy juice
Walmart.
water.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
But it's what we wanted was to not, and I don't want people to be like, oh, this podcast, you know, did XYZ. Like, it's you. So I'm going to look right at you, camera. The shit that we went through, I feel, is to be of service to others. Like the experience that we've had, I'm glad that it's showing people that they are stronger than they think and therefore are bettering their own lives.
Yeah.
Like all we're doing is starting a conversation and getting you to look at something in a slightly different way so that you're motivated to do better by you. We're not like a saving grace thing,
No.
but man, I hope it makes me feel better knowing that people are realizing that they're stronger than they think.
Yeah.
I'm giving a speech. You're twitching
Okay.
like a doggy dog.
My throat's dry.
Yeah. But I mean, you think about it, even in our own family, like when I'm around, that's one less place that my brothers are drinking. Like we're cutting down on people's
Yeah.
alcohol use just by
Somewhat.
being around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's motivated Alex. He's like, this week he'll have gone a month without drinking.
Wow. Good for him.
And he it's no surprise. Like if you listen to Tuesday's episode of Dude Absolutely, like he says, like the scary thing was he didn't know if he could even try to do it. He didn't know if he could actually stop drinking.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like,
mhm.
and that was one thing for me was I was like, I just want the desire to want to change.
Yeah.
Like it's a very basic thing to not be irritated at the thought of not doing something.
Yeah.
If you have ever gotten upset because someone told you to not drink or to dial back your drinking, you might have a problem.
And I think what's interesting is like Facebook has the memories thing. And there was a conversation with me and you. I can't remember how many years ago it was, but you were going to quit drinking for a month as long as I quit drinking diet soda. And I was so pissed at you because I was
That's
like, you
so funny.
cannot compare the two. And you're like, absolutely you can.
You can.
A little bit, but anyway, it was funny because of reading that conversation where it's like, I just need to drink a ton of diet. You're like, I remember reading the comments like, did you drink a bunch of Diet Cokes at work and get it out of your system? And I'm like, and you're like, I'm going to quit drinking. You got to quit Diet Coke then. I'm like, I want to be
This
like,
was on a post?
yeah, I'll have to, well, in a year from now, I'll find it again. But it was very interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy. Almost every memory.
There's a lot on Facebook. Yeah. Yeah.
It's wild, man.
It is wild. A lot of things where we're like the Gilmore Girls, when they came out with the new season, you brought
Fuck, that's right.
alcohol. We drink like mimosas or something. We drink something. And
No,
then,
there was like a certain martini that they
Yeah.
would drink.
yeah. But I think, I don't know, things now, there's just like a different kind of comfort in my life now, knowing that we're both sober and like not that fear of like, right now, if I got a call that person needed to be rushed to the ER, I could leave the house in a second without even hesitating.
Or I could go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we're both available.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's such a small thing to bring comfort to whoever is
Yeah.
important to you in your life.
Yeah.
Knowing that you're available is one less stressful thing to that person.
Yeah. I think our relationship with your parents has changed a lot too, where I feel like there's a lot of openness, and I feel like they have that comfort knowing that their grandkids are here and we're not hammered all the time with friends over and all that. I think that also makes them, it's not like we were hammered around our kids all the time, but like just having people over and getting drunk and then feeling sick the next day. Granted, your dad would make jokes with me, but at the same time, it's like, ugh.
Well, I think because he knew how responsible you are normally.
Oh,
So
yeah.
to watch you kind of like
Let go of it
put
for a little
cares
bit.
to the wind.
Now, I just
Caution to the wind.
Yeah.
There we go.
Now I just dance in the grocery store and embarrass
Dance in the
Layla.
grocery store.
I love
Do
it.
it. I go and I look for skirts on my lunch break.
Yeah. You wear sweatpants all the time.
I wear sweats.
Yeah.
Because I sweat.
Yeah.
I'm sweaty.
Anyway,
Can I tell a joke?
this isn't our joking podcast.
I know, but I want people
are you gonna
to
end it on a joke?
We could end it on a joke.
Where are we at?
We're at 46. Cut out maybe 2 minutes worth of stuff. It's not so bad.
That's a good episode.
Yeah.
Just the two of us.
Well, this episode is brought to you by BetterHelp.com/DDGD. Support the podcast by supporting your mental health.
Yes.
They're higher, like the economy is bad. This is one way that you can help the economy is by you're employing these people. There's thousands. It went from, what was it, like 4,000 to
Yeah.
13,000. You have
That's
so
great.
many options
Yeah.
for people that can help
in the comfort
you.
of your own home. You don't have to go sit in a waiting room
Yeah.
where other people are not wearing their masks. Just kidding. But you don't have to sit in a waiting room. That was one thing I didn't really like about going to therapy. It was sitting in a waiting room and having that uncomfortability if someone that came in that knew me. Granted, I'm open about seeing therapists and all that, but I felt uncomfortable with someone coming into a waiting room and seeing me and being like, what's your problem?
It's a weird thing that people don't talk about, but you're sitting in a room with 4 to 5 people that are hurting.
Yeah.
And all
Energy?
of that
Yeah.
that energy in one room can really feel fucking awful.
So being in your home, in your sweats, being able to talk to a therapist and just being super open, like
Yeah, you can be eating Twizzlers
yeah,
and talking to your therapist
if that helps you. Yeah.
or counselor because they have LADCs, which I'm glad you'd pointed out that there's a difference between
A CDC.
a CDC and an LADC, so a licensed
Yeah.
alcohol and drug counselor versus the
Chemical dependency counselor.
a chemical dependency counselor can still be of great help.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're there because
a lot of times
they
they're the
want
people
to,
that have gone through
yes.
some type of, addiction. So they at least can relate to you. Because oftentimes I hear a lot of people, even with mental health, like, how do you know what it's like? And as a professional, I'm not allowed to be like, I know because I've been here before. But anyway, at the end of the day, betterhelp.com/DDGD.
Yeah. You know, that just made me think of like people when they try to relate to me with the drinking or whatever that they do, they always they feel bad for trying, they feel bad for feeling bad. Like when they they don't think that their situation is comparable to mine. I think people think that I'm still hurting or that I'm going to be offended at the fact that they're bringing it up. But we say it all the time, everyone's threshold is different. So it's whatever thing is hurting you or making you feel like you're being taken away from the values that you want to uphold.
Yeah.
That's all it needs to be. I brought up a story on Dude Absolutely where there was a guy who his rock bottom was the fact that he wasn't spending as much time with his family. It just destroyed him. He was like, I wasn't going out with my kids. I wasn't going to baseball games. I could say, sorry, computer made a noise. I could say, hey man, I tried to fucking hang myself because I didn't think I could escape my addiction. our shit's not the same. I could have been that guy,
Yeah.
but just, man, be empathetic
Yeah.
to people's situations. And I feel like that's me. Like, I feel like people should be more comfortable with the fact that, like, I don't give a fuck where you're at, even if you're addicted. If you feel bad about it, it's okay to come to me with that shit.
Yeah.
It's okay to come to either of us with that shit. It's what we're here for. It's why we're doing this podcast.
Agreed. Okay.
And very soon, just so people know, I know that it can be kind of annoying getting notifications that there's a new episode of Tuk Tuk Grey Duke. The Not So Anonymous is going to have its own channel very soon. So there will be an RSS feed dedicated to just this show. So you won't have to see all of the other stuff if you don't want to.
Yeah.
But every Wednesday we do this.
Yep.
Man, I fucking love you.
I fucking love you.
You're pretty great.
You're pretty great.
And I don't want to cry, but I feel emotional.
Why do you feel emotional?
I just, we've worked really hard.
Yeah.
And I mean, the fact that we're in this house, I just, I want to continue to help people. I want to continue to, like, have the outlook that I have on sobriety so that it stays important. And
Yeah.
you guys are all very important. I just
Well,
love you so
remember how
much.
important we are. Okay.
Okay, ready to end it with a joke?
I thought yeah.
Got
that was
got
not a
intense there
joke.
for a second. Sorry. Where do hipster pirates like to hang out? At Yarbucks.
Speaking of Starbucks, if you're a frontline worker, you can get free coffee for the month of December.
Really?
Yeah. Just a cup of coffee. It's not like they're fancy coffees,
Very cool.
but still, yeah. Thank you, Starbucks.
Yeah.
All right. And
With that, we will pass.